Hello, this is Dr. Glasbrenner from George Mason University, and in this video I'm going to introduce you to the interface of Slack and give you some suggestions on how to adjust the settings to make it a more comfortable using experience. Slack, as you see in front of you, is the platform that we're going to be using for communication during the class. I found that it tends to be a better way to administer a online course in particular because it allows us to organize our discussions and files into different channels or direct messages. And it's a little more nimble in terms of handling this than just plain old email. So I hope that you'll, as you use it more, come to find it also intuitive and easy to use, and that it will enhance your experience during the class. So I think it's helpful to help acquaint you with what the interface of Slack looks like, and then give you some suggestions on what you could set the settings to make things a little more useful. First, you'll have received the invite in your email asking you to register for an account. So once you've completed that and you log in for the first time, you'll encounter a website that looks something like this. So the first thing you want to note is if you see at the top this blue banner asking you to enable desktop notifications, you can choose to do so, particularly if you are going to use the web browser as the main way to access Slack. Okay, so this is the main interface. Over here on the right, the big white space represents the chat window where our discussions will take place. In this channel, announcements, I've set it so that people can't post in it. It's a public channel, and there's no way to get rid of it, actually. So I just wanted to make it something that I could post workspace-wide announcements if I ever need to. Otherwise, we're not really going to use this channel. Over here on the left is a list of those channels. You can think of these as chat rooms that I organize by category, and each of them serves a different purpose. So I'll click through them, and I will discuss what each of them will mean for you. Okay, so the first one here is the admin channel, and this is going to replace Blackboard announcements. So any announcements for the course, such as what we're going to be doing for the week, or if there's a file or update that I need to let you know about, will go in here. Next, we have the calendar channel. So what I've done is set up a Google Calendar that is then integrated with Slack to post summaries each day of upcoming deadlines and other things that you need to know. The discussion channel was created for you to discuss concepts about the course that are not related to specific assignments. So if you've watched one of the lecture videos that I post, or you've done one of the readings, or there's just some general concept that you want to talk about, or maybe you've even seen something in the news and you want to discuss it, this is the place to do it. This next channel, Files, is exactly what it sounds like. This is where I'm going to be posting files for the course that are also going to be accessible on other platforms as well, but this gives you a convenient way to access things just in case you're in Slack and you don't want to change to another browser tab. This next channel is the homework channel. So questions and comments that regard actual assignments. So the main homeworks, the mini homeworks, and also the module exercises, those should go in here. And then finally, the students channel is where I actually want you to post first. So this will give you a chance to practice using Slack initially. But this is where you'll introduce yourself. You'll tell us who you are, what your major is, and the reason that you would like to be taking this course. It can be as simple as I just want to fulfill the natural science Mason core requirement, or maybe you're a major and this is one of the classes that you've decided to take as part of the pathway through our program. So some other things that you should know about. If you need to change any settings, you'll click up here in the upper left-hand corner. Generally speaking, there'll be three options that you'll see listed here. One of them will be to notify you about everything, which is the top option. I don't recommend going with that. The second option is to notify you about direct messages and when you're tagged, which is the middle option, and I recommend that you go with that one. You can actually set here when you want the app to not send you notifications. So there's a quiet period. I automatically set it to go from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. overnight. You can disable this by just checking here, and that way you'll get notified no matter what time of the day it is, or you can adjust the window in which this is applied. The other major thing that you probably will want to tune is what's down here. So if you're not making a habit of checking this all the time, it would be good to know when you've actually received a message that you need to see. So then if that's the case, you're going to want to click this and have it activated to once every 15 minutes, which is the smallest time span that you can choose. That way, if I send out a course announcement, you will hear about it through your email if you're checking that more frequently. A couple other things to note before we close our discussion of Slack. First, it's pretty easy to use Slack actually as a very quick notepad. So say, for example, I want to send myself a quick note that I can look at later. What you'll do is you go down to this area here that says direct messages, and you'll click your username. And then you'll get a window that looks something like this. And so this is just a scratch space. You can type or attach whatever you would like in here. So I, for example, could type in a message that I wanted to remember later, such as, so then that way when I look back into it, I now have a reminder. You could also attach files or pictures that you could then share with other people later on. So certainly a good place to test things out if you're not sure how it'll look when you're using one of the other channels. You can also format your messages, and I do encourage you to learn how to do this. I'm going to show you a couple of examples in my scratch space. So just like in a word processor, I can do things like bold and italicize my text. So if I want bold, you have to actually use these symbols. You'll surround the words that you want to become boldface with a single asterisk, which is Shift-8 on your keyboard. So you can see that I have two of those stars or asterisks, and in between is the text. There's no space between the asterisks and the first letter. And then I can type something else outside of there. And there you can see the difference when it renders. Italics would be underscores. So you can see that that works. If you want to do what I would call inline code, you do a backtick, which on most keyboards is going to be the key right above the tab key on the left. Now, this is something that you'll see a lot in this course, library tidyverse. And so you can see that it actually comes out in monospaced font, and it's also highlighted in red. If you want to do a strike through, you use the tilde, which is the shift, and then the key that's above your tab key, and then another tilde, and so that crosses it out. If you want to put a quote, you use a greater than sign, and then no space, you just start putting whatever the quote is. And then finally, you can do formatted blocks of code, not just this inline code that we see with library tidyverse. The way you would do that is you would do 3 of these backtick things. You're going to see the same thing when we start working with R more thoroughly, so it's good to learn how to do this anyway. And then you hold Shift, and then you hit Enter. And this will create a new line for you to be able to type more. If you don't do that, it'll just send the backticks in as a message. But if you want to make multiple lines within one message, you hit Shift, Enter. So again, that's Shift, Enter. And then I can type a formatted code block. As I said, to put a new line in a message without sending it, press Shift, Enter. And then to close the code block, you put 3 more backticks on its own line at the bottom, and you hit Enter. So now you see that there's this little gray box. You have this nicely formatted code. If I pull that up again, I can also show that if I put some spaces in here, save that the spaces are remembered. So that kind of white space formatting becomes very useful to help show the meaning of different things. Other things that you can do that I'll demonstrate here, but you would normally do in a conversation. You can reply to a message. So the way you would do that is you would hover your mouse over the message in question, and you would find where this Start a Thread chat bubble sits, and you'd click on it, and you get a little pop-up that looks like this. And then in here, you can type your reply. And now you can see that your reply is visible here. So if you click it, this will show up if it's already hidden. In addition, if you want that message to be shown to the whole chat room that you're in, not just nested under here as a thread, which is only visible if you click it, you can check this also send as a direct message button. And then that will push the message not only here, but also down here. And it actually tells you then what is this in reply to, so you can get the full context. So other things you can do is you can react to posts. So this is similar to doing like thumbs up or hearts on Twitter and Facebook. let's see, attachments. So there are two ways to do this. One way is to click this plus sign down here, and then you can do a file from your computer. So then you can look on your computer, you'll get a pop-up, it's not showing here, where you can navigate your file system and attach a file that way. The second way would be to drag and drop something directly into the interface. So you see that when you drag it over here, you get this upload thing. If you let go, then you'll get a pop-up that looks like this. You can put a caption for whatever you're uploading if you would like, and then upload it, and then it'll be available within the chat room for other people to look at. So if you send it as a direct message like I'm doing here, only one person can see it, but if I did it in one of these channels over here on the left, everyone in the channel would be able to take a look at this file. And so then the last thing just to mention is that if you want to send a direct message, which would be similar to an email, all you would need to do is click this plus button here in order to bring up a pop-up, which will allow you to select the names of either myself, Dr. Glasbrenner, or another student who's taking the class with you in order to send them a private message. So this replaces email. So if you need to send me something specific, just use this. I'm not going to demonstrate it here because some students' names are already in there and this video will be public. Basically, just use this to get in contact. If you click multiple names before you hit the word go in that pop-up, then you'll be able to send group messages and not just individual messages. So that will be helpful when you need to do group work during the semester. And so this is the least that you need to know in order to effectively use Slack while you're taking this class. So to review again, you have preferences under here. That's where you can change some of your notification settings. And then we have these different channels that I talked about. Announcements. So don't post in this channel, just let me post there. Calendar, which is just notifications about the schedule. Again, you really shouldn't be posting in there. Just allow the notifications to come through. Discussion, you can post in about anything in the class that doesn't have to do with an assignment. Files will be just where I upload things that we are using in the class. Homework is where you discuss homework assignments. And then students is where you should introduce yourself. This is Dr. Glasbrenner from George Mason University. See you next time.